Welcome in, everybody. Greg's Weekend Rental. We got to do an impromptu episode here, recording. We couldn't be together for this one, but when the news drops, we had to hop on and record. Switch 2 officially announced, official confirmation from Nintendo themselves about Switch 2. We already kind of knew it was a thing. The leaks, there's so many of them. I tried to avoid them myself. I don't know if you did. I tried to avoid everything about it as much as I could, but obviously you still get hit with it. Whether you want to or not, it's just you see memes, you don't even, you know what I mean? I didn't seek it, but I couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
And now we get this cool ASMR video, I guess you could kind of call it, just showing off the console, bigger screen, bigger Joy-Cons, better overall quality construction, I guess. I mean, excited for a new console generation, but I'm sitting here kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah. I get that. We really didn't get much of anything, just kind of what we already knew, I guess. Basically the same thing, just an updated style console with maybe nicer Joy-Cons, magnetic attachments. I like that, you know.
That's great. It's a
It's
great
the little
feature.
things.
Like, dope, dude.
Yeah,
You know?
totally justified to buy a new one.
Yeah, there's what, like a button there where we don't know what it does. Maybe the mouse sensor thing is going to be a thing, isn't going to be a thing. That
They
wasn't
did
kind of
show the
confirmed.
the Joy-Cons like
Yeah,
sliding on a table, so yeah, I don't know how they'll integrate it, but I'm sure it'll be great for future Mario parties.
but like, hopefully. Well, it's funny you say that, right? Like we just bought Mario Party Jamboree on Switch.
Yeah, yeah.
Great game.
Hmm.
Really enjoy it. Part of me almost wishes, like now that we have a Switch 2 announcement is probably going to come later this year, that like I doubt we're going to get another Mario Party immediately. That feels like
Yeah,
another 3 years out now. It almost feels like a wasted game to put it like on the Switch.
maybe. I mean, at the same time, maybe they will integrate updated mechanics. That'd be something I would think they might be able to do, but who knows?
Because
We
as of
we
right
don't
now,
really know.
yeah, it feels like the first time here in Nintendo's history where we're literally just getting more of the same. I
Yeah.
don't think Nintendo's ever done Switch like the number two, Switch 2. It's literally just like more of the same. Not to say the Switch is broken, don't fix it. I get it, one of the best-selling consoles of all time. But might this now be Nintendo joining Sony and Xbox in this thing of every year you get an updated computer. You get a hardware update rather than an innovative update. Because, Nintendo always did something special. That was kind of what made them as exciting as Nintendo is. You got innovation, you got a new experience. The Wii introduced, you know what I mean? You always got
Mhm.
something. And this is now the first time where I genuinely feel like I'm just buying a hardware update. Um, do you think you're going to actually buy one?
Uh, Honestly, yeah, I probably will, just because my Switch is like I still have my launch console, and
So do
it's
we. Yep.
it's definitely it sounds pretty sick when I like turn it on. The fans like it's like, oh, that doesn't sound so good. So if anything, I'll probably just buy it just so I can make sure I have a working console in the near future.
Uh, Nintendo Direct is in April.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll get some actual like the way I'm at right now, right, is will I buy a Switch? I still have my launch one as well. I mean, it works, it's fine. It doesn't seem like there's any issue with it. Joy-Con drift, I think we had it fixed once. Like we actually did have to send our Joy-Con into Nintendo.
I did that too.
Which kind of comes into this thing about like early adapter or early adopter. Sorry, I'm an adapter. You're gonna be probably paying $3.99 for it, I think. Maybe $4.49. The initial Switch launched at $2.99, which I think was a great price at the time. I think we saw it scalped like very hard, if I remember correctly, up to like 500, even maybe 600, because $2.99 was pretty cheap, even back in what 2017 now.
Yeah, yeah, it was a pretty good price.
So the Switch OLED is $349, I believe. What's a PS5 cost right now? $499
Uh,
US.
that's a good question. US.
Like I
I'm
feel like
sure Canadian. It's yeah.
I feel like Nintendo can't price themselves as high as a PS5.
No, no, I don't think so. I mean, they've always kind of shied away from competing on a graphical level with other consoles of the same generation. Like they've never prioritized it, even though we've got generational updates. They still have not. made it a priority to compete with Sony or Microsoft on pure, graphical technology.
Which, yeah, I've seen rumor it's going to be like as strong as a PS4, maybe a PS4 Pro level of
Yeah.
strength, which is, I mean, I don't care personally. I'm not a big guy. Like my computer is fine. I run like a 3060, I think. Like I run my games on medium settings. I'm a medium
Hmm.
setting kind of guy. It doesn't bother me in that respect. But I guess to that point, right? Nintendo has never competed on graphics, on hardware power, which is where they compete with software and or innovation, making a gaming
Hmm.
experience that is unique. Because I don't
Yeah.
need my Switch to be able to play every single game that exists. I need the Switch to be unique. So
Hmm.
I just I don't know. I need to see more. I need to see so much more.
Yeah, and we really didn't get we kind of got what we already knew, which is, from these all these leaks that have been happening. Really, the console looked exactly as we thought it was. It's called Switch 2, literally. Um, so, I think I think a lot of these things kind of forced Nintendo's hand in that regard.
Like
Like I
all
think
the
we got
leaks and stuff.
yeah, I think we got this little video maybe earlier than they wanted to because the distance from now until April for a full direct, it seems kind of silly. Like it's like maybe it should have been like, in a few weeks or something, not in 3 months.
That's actually an interesting point. I wonder if Nintendo did like not scrape something together, but in the last week they were like, well, like at this
Yeah.
point, there's so much leak and everything that's literally taking away, like it's like stealing
Hmm.
Nintendo's thunder.
Yes.
You're giving all the credit and all the attention to leakers instead of Nintendo themselves getting the attention about the Switch 2.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think that's probably why we got this video in the first place, is just because of all of that.
So I went and looked at just, again, speaking about if I will rush out and buy one. I did go and look back at the Switch
Hmm.
launch titles. What actually might sell the console? Because it's Switch 2. I think it's safe to say we're not going to get an innovative thing. Breath of the Wild was the biggest game launching with the Switch. There were 10 titles. Bomberman R, like 1, 2 Switch. Arms. Were you an Arms guy? Did you play Arms? Did you buy Arms?
No, I did not care at all.
Yeah, I don't think Arms lived up to the hope Nintendo was expecting out of it, to be completely honest
Yeah,
there.
they weren't the guns we wanted.
And they were not. I was excited as heck for Breath of the Wild, right? I was. It
Yes,
was going to
yes.
be that was the innovative thing, I think. That was the killer app. That's what sold the Switch 1 because even coming off the Wii U, like the Switch had some innovation level. The detachable Joy-Cons, come into kind of an ode to the normal Wii. There was innovation there, but it wasn't going to change the way you play video games, so to say. But then you
Hmm.
see Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything about this franchise, which it did,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
record.
Totally new direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, I think, the big thing to like sell the Switch. This is the optimal way to play it.
Hmm.
Is there any hope of Switch 2 doing this? Like what? They teased the new Mario Kart. The Breath sequel already hit, Tears of the Kingdom. So we got that as kind of speaking to Mario Party Jamboree, right? Like we got the Tears of the Kingdom sequel. What are we getting as a killer app? Metroid Prime 4 isn't going to move the needle. What could we get?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise us because I remember when the original Switch came out, they kind of surprised everyone that Breath of the Wild would be a launch title. I don't think anyone really knew that until they announced it. So, maybe that's going to be something similar. We'll see a surprise launch title of something. I'm not sure. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the leeway is like from the direct coming up until actual release time. So depending on that window, I think we might be able to see some kind of really great first party launch titles.
Like okay, Odyssey, right?
Yeah,
That was like Odyssey 2. Do we get it?
that's a good question.
Is
We
that
haven't
where
seen
we're going?
anything.
Like, is that the launch title? I don't know. It just again, like Mario was introduced to the open world concept. The Legend of Zelda was introduced to the open world concept. We got Mario Wonder, the 2D
Mhm.
new one again. Again, it's not that I love that there's so much support on the Switch and that they released all of these for the Switch, even though Switch 2 is coming, close to all of those other games. An 8-year console life, this is what happens, but I not saying they should have purposely held back some of this stuff, but I don't know what they can possibly present, even with a Mario game, where it's gonna be capturing the imagination of everyone. Where it's like, I need to go buy new Smash. Is that the console seller? Like probably.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he is working on some kind of new game that no one knows about. So, Smash Ultimate did come out a long time ago. It's
It's
probably
time for a
time
new
for,
Smash. Like it's like how we get Mario Kart. It's time for a new Mario Kart.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And even with this, right? So like my lack of desire, my lack of rush to run out and do this, I'm talking about Breath of the Wild being a console seller, right? For the
Hmm.
Switch. It came out on Wii U. You
Yeah, and it's funny
could
because like when that came out, I went and bought the Switch with Breath of the Wild, and my roommate at the time only had a Wii U. He wasn't planning on buying a Switch right away. So he bought the Wii U version, and we like, compared them side by side. And the Wii U version was just like so janky and like, choppy frame rate and all this stuff. And yeah,
it wasn't the optimal way to play, but
yeah,
if you're like again, so the early adopter of the Switch, okay, you got Breath of the Wild and its optimal gaming experience. You also got jank Wiimotes. You got jank Switch controllers that had issues.
yeah.
Joy-Con drift and everything. Like being the early
Hmm.
adopter also opens you up for early adopter issues.
Yeah.
And with this new console launch, backwards compatibility is going to be a thing. Of course, that is amazing. We'll talk about that more in just a second. But we also might see a lot of these games get both a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 release right off the bat
Mhm.
here. It might be a year before we start seeing purely Switch 2 games.
Yeah, it's true. Um, for one, I'm looking forward to playing titles I already own. Just, I'm looking forward to having them running maybe just a little better, working a little better. Yeah, I'm
Like
okay
just
with that. In
to
the meantime,
But you never did upgrade to an OLED or anything then, hey?
no, well, I never play the Switch in handheld mode, so I never felt the need to upgrade. I like my couch gaming, so yeah,
No,
didn't
I'm
make
the exact
sense.
same way. Our Switch is docked for 98% of its life. So
Yeah, mine
it's
too.
never affected me.
Yeah.
That's why even getting the upgrades, it's like I'm not running it on an optimal TV. I'm not running it with you know what I mean? There's so
Hmm.
much that has to like the screen I'm using for my computer is an old TV. Like I'm just not a graphical guy, so
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
is what it is.
It's gonna be like Mario now in HDR, ray
Yeah,
tracing.
like I need to see him in 4K. Like what's going on here, Nintendo?
That's
This is
right.
not
Yeah,
acceptable.
yeah.
But the backwards compatibility, huge. The two biggest things, I guess, that are confirmed: backwards compatibility as well as physical games are coming to the next generation. Those were things that were both like we didn't know. Those are both confirmed. The entire Switch library should be coming over because there was a piece of text you might have saw it that was like some Switch hardware and games may
Mm,
not, whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm guessing it's like Ring Fit, maybe Nintendo Labo or any other experimental type of you know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna be like, oh no, sorry, like Luigi's Mansion doesn't work actually. I don't think we're gonna lose any kind of actual games. It's gonna be niche stuff that might not come forward. So
yeah.
with the
That makes
Switch 2,
sense.
like you say, I guess you can pick one up and you can just have it as your better advanced gaming console to do everything you're already doing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Would
The
you trade in
replacement
the
I've been
Switch then?
looking for 8 years, I guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Like, would you just dump your Switch, get the Switch 2, trade it in?
Yeah, or I'd probably just, yeah, sell it on Marketplace or whatever.
There's no reason to hold the Switch 1 then, right? Like it
No, I wouldn't think so. Like, I don't think there'd be any reason to since it's all backwards compatible.
yeah, I think there's like pirating stuff you can do with it. But if you
Hmm,
are
that's true, yeah.
a law-abiding citizen, yeah, I don't think there's any reason to keep it now because of the backwards compatibility. And I mean, if you think about how easy it is to get a Wii, there's literally no reason. Like the Wii's are everywhere. And
Hmm.
surprisingly, the Nintendo Switch, its install base, like it sold 40 million more units than the Wii. 40 million more.
That's kind of
So
crazy because the
it,
Wii was like a huge seller back then.
it feels like nothing outsold the Wii, right? Like they were
Yeah.
everywhere and everyone owned one. And you're telling me this outsold it by 40 million units?
Yeah.
It's
It's
actually
like your
insane.
grandparents bought a Wii, you know?
Yes. Like we bought a Wii, I think like very early. Like we were
Yeah.
early adopters there because it was again the Nintendo innovation of oh my God, what are we doing? And we
Yeah.
just grinded Wii Sports. Like we didn't even buy a ton of games.
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, that was kind of the first time we really saw um such a new direction in terms of console innovation.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, it's funny. They always have something. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
N64 controller, adding buttons to the
Hmm.
SNES one. Like, there's always
Rumble.
something that, what?
Rumble. That was
Yeah, like there's always like, there's always something. So I guess
mhm.
maybe the Switch 2 will be the optical mouse and that'll maybe.
You know what? Part of me thinks that there's going to be some interesting integration with Mario Kart. Like, steering that way or maybe drifting with some kind of lift up and drop mechanics. I don't know. That's
We
kind
all
of what
go
I
back to the
get.
Wii wheel. Like, is that the
Yeah, that's right. For all the
yeah,
plebs out
they should have never
there.
got rid of that.
Yeah, that's right. Making a comeback.
So with the Switch 2, how does it affect regular Switch collecting? What
That's a
happens
good
there?
question. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Switch has been really popular uh, as a collectible console. Um, I think having it backwards compatible will help a lot of older games retain their market value probably with this new generation.
Yes. Like I think okay, with the Switch 2, we're going to see because of the backwards compatibility, we get new YouTube videos. We get, hey, every here's every great Switch game you missed out on. Here's every Switch
Hmm.
game you need to know. Like the hidden gem content, I think is going to go through the roof for the first, well, like I said, for the first while here, because you don't necessarily need to buy a Switch 2 right off the bat. So I think
Yeah,
it's really going to push all this like okay, you buy a Switch 2, right? We talked about Switch 1 launch titles, there were 10 of them. So even if you yourself pick one up or I pick one up, maybe we have 20 games the first year. I'm just throwing out a number, right? Or games that
yeah.
matter, first party Nintendo titles that you can't play on other consoles. Because that's the big important thing, at least for me. You buy a Nintendo for the Nintendo games. Um,
Hmm.
I really think content around that and like niche games, we're gonna see like niche stuff, games that maybe should have been classics, or either retain value and or go up in value as people start discovering those because Switch 2 simply doesn't have the library.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Um, it's like, when the Wii U came out, like, oh, look at all the great Wii games you missed on.
It was
It's
though,
kind of,
like you
yeah,
start going through the library because like Wii U is a great example. It didn't have a ton of games.
yeah, yeah, it's true. And I wonder if, with all the backwards compatibility, I wonder if that's going to affect their sales off the hop. Part of me thinks probably not, just because Nintendo things sell like hotcakes anyway. But
If they don't have a killer app, man, it will. Like the
yeah,
Nintendo
yeah.
Direct, man, I like all eyes on April. What are we getting? What is the console seller?
Hmm.
If they don't
Yeah,
have it, it is not enough to just upgrade the hardware, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. So do you think Mario Kart is not enough? You need more?
At this point, I do think you need more because Mario Kart, it's different now. Because if you go back to, let's say, GameCube moving over to the Wii, right? We had Double Dash, but Double Dash never saw continual updates, continual DLC, continual support for like 8 years after its initial release. At this point, Mario Kart, okay, maybe they make Mario Kart so mind amazingly like, oh my God, like maybe, but we have what? There's 40 cups now in it or something with all DLC packs. Like it is such a thick game, such a thick experience now with everything that I don't think Mario Kart in its essence can be innovated enough to
Yeah,
be.
and you know what? I feel the same thing about Smash too. It's like, Smash Ultimate is so all-encompassing, and it's like, how can you really improve on that? There's so much already.
What? Where are we going? What are we doing? So the new Smash game will come out and it'll be amazing, but like it'll probably be a completely stripped down roster. It kind of has to be. Like
Yeah,
given that we're
they need
sitting at
that
what
that
150
DLC.
characters in Smash? What?
That DLC.
Well, seriously though, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting in this thing now where we've had these games have support for 8 years, these mainline titles where waiting for the next Smash game was huge because it's like, oh my God, they're expanding the roster, they're new levels, new like we have all that. We
Mhm.
got all of that already. We got new cups in Mario Kart. We got new characters. I don't know, man. There has to be something in April. There has to be. One last
Yeah.
question I do want to ask you. Are you going to pick up Switch 2 titles? Given what happened with Switch 1 games, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, First Prince, factory sealeds are worth hundreds of dollars right now. Are you going to try any speculation there?
That might be tough in Canada.
Dude, don't we get three region releases now? Or do we still get Canadian specific? I don't even
It depends. Some have their own specific variants.
That's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough.
It makes it tough. You have to like, order from like
Yeah, so import it. You can
somewhere in the
import.
US. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to say. You don't really know until that second variant comes out just how rare or desirable something is going to be. It's always in hindsight, right?
Does Nintendo do it anymore? Do they still do the 0000? Because I don't think like Tears has one. Animal Crossing, I don't think has one.
Here's has one, doesn't it?
No, yeah, sorry, it just has a zero print. It doesn't have a
Okay, yeah.
revision.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably depends on their manufacturing facilities, you know.
I know people in Discord are already talking about getting like master cases of some of these launch games. So like people are gonna take a shot at it. I was just
Yeah.
curious if it was something you were gonna chase. I don't think I'm going to either.
No, I got other stuff to worry about.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I just have enough stuff going on. It's just like even
Yeah,
if
it's
it
just
works out,
another.
that's okay. I'll miss out. That's fine.
Yeah,
But all eyes
that's
on
all.
April. Let us know. Are you gonna buy a Switch 2? Are you excited about the Switch 2? What can be announced? What can happen? Where it would be, you have to go buy this console. Because as of right now, I'm gonna lag behind. That's how it feels for me.
Yeah, I'll definitely buy day one, I think.
Okay, there we go. Got a day one guy
I
over
I'm
there.
yeah, why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
I mean, hey, I just gave you a flurry of reasons why not. So
That's right.
I'll tell you why not, Jeremy. Like,
I'll
run it
tell
back.
you,
Yeah.
yeah.
But thanks for listening, Greg's Weekend Rental. If you're watching the audio, make sure to rate and review. If you're watching on the YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next episode.